My girlfriend's closest friend once shoved me down a staircase and convinced her to end our relationship. He later tried to set my house ablaze and attacked me, leading to his imprisonment. I had been discharged from the Special Forces after a mortar blast injured my leg, and upon returning home, I rekindled a romance with my high school love one night. While staying at her place, I awoke to footsteps creeping up the stairs. Instinctively, I grabbed my shotgun and stood ready. The intruder yelled my girlfriend's name. It turned out he wasn't a stranger but a former coworker of hers, a drug addict she'd once helped with a meal during his withdrawal. He begged her for a place to stay, claiming he'd been evicted. Since it was her home, I had no say, and she allowed him to stay. His behavior was deplorable. He demanded she cook for him, wash his clothes, and buy his groceries. One night, he had the audacity to order me to clean his dishes. I told him to get lost and turned to leave the apartment, heading down the stairs. Suddenly, the door burst open behind me. He charged and pushed me, sending me tumbling. I hit the concrete floor hard, striking my head. He pounced on me, but I fought back, managing to pin him down and unleash a flurry of punches. I didn't care if he didn't survive the encounter. Someone was going down, and it wouldn't be me. But my girlfriend intervened, saving his life. She heard the commotion and rushed downstairs to find me pummeling him. She screamed for me to stop, and I complied. The moment I backed off, he started spinning lies. "Sis, he threatened to kill me. He attacked me and threw me down the stairs over a PlayStation," he claimed. For a brief moment, I feared she might believe him, but thankfully, a neighbor's security camera footage exposed his deception. That morning, I drove her to work and dropped her 3-year-old daughter off at daycare. Her daughter, whose father was absent, was the most precious little girl I'd ever met. After dropping her off, I went to work, explaining to my boss why my knuckles were bloodied and why I held an ice pack to my head. They urged me to report the incident to the police. I refused, worried it would jeopardize my relationship. My boss called me a fool and warned that my decision would haunt me. He wasn't wrong. The guy gave my girlfriend an ultimatum. Either I leave or he walks out of her and her daughter's life. He'd been the only consistent male presence in her daughter's life, and she didn't want to shatter her little girl's world. So I was the one cut loose. Losing the woman I loved was brutal, but saying goodbye to her sobbing toddler, whom I dreamed of adopting, was unbearable. No man could hold back tears in that moment. At least, no man I'd want to meet. I returned to my apartment, gathered a box of their belongings, and waited for the right moment to drop it off at her workplace. I was shattered. But that guy wasn't done tormenting me. He'd once bragged about friends who'd deal with me, and I thought it was empty talk. It wasn't. Months after our breakup, I woke to find my car vandalized, tires removed, windows smashed, and graffiti sprayed across it. Repairs cost me $2,500 out of pocket. The police filed a report, but with no clear footage or fingerprints, the case went nowhere. 2 weeks later, someone in a mask threw a Molotov cocktail at my front door. If not for the building's sprinklers, my apartment and I would have burned. The police took this seriously but found no usable evidence. Things quieted down for a month. My ex reached out after hearing about the fire, and I told her I suspected her former coworker, though I lacked proof. She promised to confront him. Coincidentally, the attack stopped until the police questioned him about the arson. He'd recently started working at a shady auto shop, but when cops showed up asking questions, the owners fired him one evening. After hitting the gym and grabbing groceries, I returned to my apartment. I didn't carry my pistol to work due to base regulations, leaving me unarmed. As I climbed the stairs to my third-floor apartment, I heard rapid footsteps descending from the floor above. 4 masked men in gloves rushed toward me. I tried to slam my door shut, but they forced their way in. What happened next lasted about 14 seconds, captured by a neighbor's security camera. I kept a loaded pistol in a closet near the door, reckless, I know, but I was younger then. In the chaos, I grabbed the gun, pushed back the first attacker, and created distance. As they advanced, I raised my SIG P226, chambered in .40 S&W, and fired. I didn't aim to wound or scare. I shot as trained, center mass, head. The first guy dropped, his blood splattering the second, who took stray rounds before I shot him in the forehead. The third froze, then caught 4 bullets to the chest. The fourth was halfway out the door when I emptied my magazine through the third, and into him 3 didn't survive. The fourth, my ex's former coworker, did. He took 3 bullets. One grazed his hip, another lodged in his buttock, and the third shattered his spine near his kidney, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. He'd never walk, dance, or live normally again. Once stable, he was imprisoned, charged with conspiracy to commit murder, assault, battery, and reckless endangerment for my shooting in a populated complex. He'd never see freedom again. I hoped for a fairy tale ending, reuniting with my ex, marrying her, adopting her daughter, and starting a family. But that didn't happen. Within a day, she called me a monster, banned me from her life and her daughters, and threatened police action if I came near her or her workplace. She ignored the vandalism, arson, and threats, even accusing me of provoking him to justify shooting him. She blocked me everywhere, changed her number, switched jobs, and moved. I haven't seen her since 8 years later. I learned through mutual friends that she married in 2020, had another child, and is happy. Good for her. But I never got my white picket fence. Taking 3 lives, even in self-defense, weighs heavily. It's different from combat overseas. Killing to survive in your own home leaves scars. I couldn't touch my guns for a year without panic attacks. PTSD took hold. The Navy supported me, providing resources and statements for the investigation. They offered on-base housing with security, but I declined. Now retired, I run a successful cybersecurity and site security consulting LLC. I enjoy boating and have a loving partner of 3 years who's my rock. We're planning a family recently. A Google alert I set up years ago pinged. It was an obituary for the guy. In prison, someone grew fed up with his loudmouth bravado, believing his wheelchair made him untouchable. They used it against him, finishing him with brutal stomps. The obituary painted him as a troubled soul who fell into hardship. Surprisingly, it mentioned a daughter none of us knew about. I doubt she ever really knew him, which is probably for the best. If this story hit home, please like, share, and follow for more real-life drama. Your support keeps these stories coming. Thanks for reading, and catch you in the next one.